Welcome in, my friends, to another episode of Fantasy Football Picks and Bets, presented to you by Prize Picks. We have an amazing show coming up today that is going to be coming to you every single Thursday, and I'm really excited about it, y'all. We have some quick news, some injury updates that y'all should be aware of. We also have some streaming options or dumpster dives, whichever one you want to call it. I kind of call it both. And we also have some Q&As, some questions from the people, from you, that I am going to answer. But before we get into any of that, remember, go to prizepicks.com, use the promo code MMN to get your deposit of up to $100 matched. That's right, that's like free money. Make sure you use the promo code MMN. There's also a link to that, prizepicks.com, in the description of this video. And also don't forget, we have our 7-11 challenge. That's right, we have that going on season long. It's very easy. If you have not signed up already, what are you waiting for? Use the promo code MMN, but you don't have to use that just to get into the 7-11 challenge, but you do want to use that when you want to get your deposit doubled up to that $100. But it's very easy. It's 5 over-under picks. That equals $7.11. That's how they're going to be tracking it each and every week. You select the contest excluding Monday nights, because that's when I read off the leaderboard, is on Monday nights. 5 over-unders that equals $7.11. Make sure you go ahead, head over to prizepicks.com, use the promo code MMN if you have not signed up yet. If you have, totally fine. Go ahead and get those picks in so you guys can be eligible for those season-long prizes, of which there is a description of those in the description of this video. And you can also follow us at Mayo Media Net, because we do tweet out the contest prizes, which are like $1,000, $1,500. It's crazy, including prizes for who's in the middle and prizes for who is dead last. So it's a pretty fun challenge. I really like it. I'm also obsessed with Prize Picks. Go over there, sign up, and let's get right down to it on today's show. So first and foremost, let's go over a few injuries, a few news, notes, things you should be aware of. Okay, Patriots running back Ramondre Stevenson. He is the one that's everyone is kind of going gaga over behind Damian Harris. Unfortunately, he dislocated his thumb in practice. No bueno. But there is some optimism that he should be ready to go for week 1. So that is just something I would keep an eye on. He's a stash for me anyway, so it's not like you're going to be, playing him unless you're in a super deep league. But keep your eye on him. If he is unable to go, the backup then will become probably J.J. Taylor. So just keep an eye on that moving forward. And then sticking with the Patriots, tight end Hunter Henry is actually expected to be a full go in week 1. He is going to be playing opposite Jonnu Smith at the tight end position for the Patriots with rookie Mac Jones. Another piece of good news, which we always like to hear, Buccaneers wide receiver Chris Godwin was limited in practice earlier this week, but he was not listed on the final injury report heading into Thursday's matchup, which is very exciting. I love Chris Godwin. In fact, I love all of the wide receivers from the Buccaneers. Come on, it's Tom Brady. This is great news. So if you have Chris Godwin, feel free to feel confident about starting him, because I think he's going to do really good, because he's really good at football. Not so great news. DeAndre Swift, yes, he is expected to start week 1, but again, he's still kind of dealing with that nagging core muscle groin injury that he's been dealing with so far this preseason, I guess we should say. I still think he's going to be on a limited snap count. This means to me that this could be more of an opportunity for Jamal Williams. So if you do have DeAndre Swift in your lineup, temper your expectations. Make some plans to have someone in your flex that could be that home run hitter, or if you have another running back that is going to give you a safer floor, you might want to plug him in for DeAndre Swift just in case. And some more sad news too out of Washington football team. Wide receiver Curtis Samuel has re-aggravated that groin injury that he's been dealing with. So his likelihood to start week 1 is not great. And according to Ron Rivera, and I don't quote me here, but it sounded something like this: if he plays, great. If he doesn't play, great. So there's that. Wide receiver Curtis Samuel re-aggravated his groin. That kind of stinks. And in some news, aside from injuries, I've been getting a lot of questions about this. So the Ravens have signed Le'Veon Bell to their practice squad, okay? Make sure you understand that he is on the practice squad right now. They want to see what he has left in the tank. They want to see what his conditioning looks like. And in the meantime, they signed Trenton Cannon to their 53-man roster to give them a little bit more depth at running back. Let me just make sure I got that name right. Yes, Trenton Cannon, Cannon. He's on the 53-man roster. Le'Veon Bell is still on the practice squad, so keep that in mind when I get a lot of starts and sits or stash questions about Le'Veon Bell. I'm not sold on it yet, so I'm gonna stay away from Le'Veon Bell for the foreseeable future. Also, the Saints did release their backup running back, Latavius Murray, which is kind of sad because he's a pretty cool dude, and he refused to take a pay cut. So they were like, out of here, see you later, bye-bye. So that's a little strange to me, but it happens. It's business. These things are, it's the NFL, not for long. That's kind of what happens. So hopefully Latavius Murray gets picked up somewhere else. Keep your eyeballs out for any news on that front. But behind Alvin Kamara, the starting running back for the Saints, we have Tony Jones Jr. or Dwayne Washington. No, I am not in any hurry to run to the waiver wire and pick up and stash either of those two running backs. Jacksonville also signed running back Duke Johnson. Again, I think this is kind of like that Le'Veon Bell issue where they are kind of wanting some depth at the running back position after Travis Etienne has, gone. He's gone for the season. I'm sorry for everyone who was really excited about him, myself included. I'm not too worried about this for a James Robinson whatsoever, but if he does get signed to the 53-man roster, then I am slightly worried about that simply for Carlos Hyde. So we'll see what happens if Duke Johnson makes that 53-man starting roster, but until then, I'm sticking with Carlos Hyde, and I'm obviously 100% good with James Robinson. So that is the latest information that I have up to date today coming to you. But make sure you check out the Friday show with Pat Mayo of Fantasy Football Picks and Bets. He is going to give you the latest injury updates and news so that you are 100% prepared for your weekend starting week 1. I cannot believe it. It is real football. It is here. I am so excited. I cannot wait. I feel like it's been forever, and I sort of feel like it's my birthday. It's not, though. It's not till November. I'll remind everybody when it is so I can get a ton of birthday wishes. Yes, I'm selfish like that. Don't judge me. But next, we have our streaming options for week 1. I'm also kind of calling this a streamer's dumpster dive type of situation, because there are a few of them that could be considered slightly stinky, but if you need a player to plug in desperate times, call for desperate dumpster dives. So that is okay. I have a few here for you in case you are in that conundrum. But first and foremost, I do want to let everybody know that fantasy football is educated guessing. Yes, we have a lot of information that helps us make the best decision possible, but at the end of the day, it's still just a guess. And when it comes to evaluating defenses before the start of week 1, it's even more of a guessing game. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking at the end of 2020 stats for defense special teams, and I'm going to go ahead and compare that to some rankings that we have in order to show you and explain to you why I am picking these particular players as streaming options or someone that you can pick up that is not heavily rostered and who might have some opportunities. So just keep that in mind as we go through these. Okay, so for our streaming options, let's start with the quarterback. Now, I did mention this on a previous show, but I really feel so strongly about this that I'm bringing it up again. I love quarterback Sam Darnold on his new team for the Carolina Panthers, and he is playing against the Jets. I understand that Adam Gase is no longer there. He is the bane of everyone's existence. Every player's existence, I should say, especially with those buggy eyes. That was the bane of my existence because that was really creepy looking, but that is neither here nor there. But Sam Darnold is going up against his former team with the Jets. So this is a huge revenge game that I absolutely love. Now, last year, the Jets defense allowed 33 touchdowns. That tied for third worst with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, come on, there's opportunity here for the Panthers, especially Sam Darnold throwing to his boo, Robbie Anderson, who is on the Panthers with him this year, as well as DJ Moore. We have lots of opportunities there for Christian McCaffrey as well, including dump-offs from Sam Darnold in case he starts getting into trouble. And like I mentioned, they have DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. There's an improved wide receiving core around Sam Darnold. And he's about 15% rostered. So if you need to plug somebody in at your quarterback position, if you have decided to stream the quarterback position, I am all on board with Sam Darnold at the QB streaming option for week 1. Now let's move on to tight end. Now I have a couple options here for you. The first one is Chris Herndon. He is the newly signed tight end for the Minnesota Vikings, and they are going up against the Bengals. So Chris Herndon is roughly around like 1 to 2% owned, so he should be available in your leagues. It is a touch risky, simply because he hasn't had a lot of time on the Vikings. However, there is a big hole that needs to be filled because tight end Irv Smith is out for the season because of his knee surgery, which also is very sad. But Chris Herndon had a breakout 2018 year. It was his rookie year. He crushed it with Sam Darnold and Adam Gase, which is really sad. But they're no longer with Adam Gase. That's gone. So he's in a new home with Minnesota. Adam Thielen is still a little bit banged up. You know, they'll probably limit him. I don't have any facts to substantiate that other than just kind of a gut check. It probably will be a Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook show. That is perfectly fine because I think Chris Herndon could be a tight end red zone threat. Understand when you're streaming the tight end position, it is very difficult. It's hard, but not impossible. So tight end Chris Herndon, easy for you to say, my bad. Chris Herndon is going to be an option there for you. Again, not very heavily rostered. Another player not really very heavily rostered and also slightly risky, but I kind of like this, and I also like this for DFS plays as well. Pat Freiermuth, tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I know they have a tough matchup going against the Buffalo Bills, but Pat Freiermuth made quite a splash in preseason with 2 gigantic touchdowns from Ben Roethlisberger, so they've already kind of started to create that trust. Eric Ebron in his very Crisco hands. He has, I think he caught one, he dropped one in that same game. I don't know. We'll see. But the Bills have allowed 8 touchdowns to the tight end position. And 84 receptions, and they were 26th worst against tight ends from 2020. That is also something to keep in mind. And this is going to go kind of against what I like to do when I evaluate defenses, but at the same time, I do like this next tight end as a streaming option as well. Anthony Firkser, tight end for the Tennessee Titans. Now, Jonnu Smith is now with the Patriots. So this is Anthony Firkser's kind of field, if you will, for the tight end position. He is roughly 14% rostered. And defenses here, I think, are going to be focusing a lot on Julio Jones. They're going to be focusing on A.J. Brown, and they're especially going to be focusing on Derrick Henry. Those are those 3 mega threats. And for me, that kind of leaves Anthony Firkser open for the red zone, for some touches. I really like his opportunity if you guys do need to plug someone in for your tight end position, or you're streaming, or you need a value DFS play. I like that a lot. So moving on to our next streaming option here on your positional rosters are going to be your defense special teams. Now, one that I really do like here is going to be Miami against the Patriots. This is going to be a theme for me moving forward because honestly, I'm kind of picking on the rookie quarterback. The rookie quarterback. See, first it's Wookiee wide receivers. Now it's quarterbacks. I don't know. We'll make something out of this. I should make a t-shirt or something. Who cares? But Mac Jones is still a rookie quarterback. See, nailed it. So I think Miami has an opportunity here for sacks, for turnovers. As much as I really like Mac Jones, this is his very first NFL regular season start and game. So I do like Miami. They're about 30% rostered. So they could be available. I really like that under 50% mark. So check out Miami versus the New England Patriots. The second one I like as well, speaking of Minnesota, when we were talking Chris Herndon, I like the Minnesota Vikings against the Bengals. They're about 25% rostered. Again, this is going back to a quarterback issue. I understand that Joe Burrow is not a rookie, but he was hurt very badly last year. And as far as I'm concerned, their offensive line is still trash until they prove me otherwise. Again, there are some opportunities here for the Minnesota Vikings defense to capitalize on sacks and turnovers. Same kind of principle we have with the Panthers going up against the Jets, with Zach Wilson starting his very first NFL regular season game with the Jets. So I think 37% rostered, by the way, on the Panthers before I move on and forget. So literally I'm picking on the youth here, but I'm older, so I'm allowed. And plus, this is my show, so I can do what I want. Hopefully I don't get in trouble over this. But there we go. Out of all 3 of those, which one I would like the best? I'm probably leaning Minnesota Vikings, and then Miami, and then Panthers, if you guys wanted to rank in case all 3 of them are available. So now I'm going to go ahead and do a little deviation on the streamer segment, and I'm going to call this dumpster dive because I'm going to look at the running back and the wide receiver position on places where you guys can find maybe a dude you need to fill in for a spot because of injuries or something, but here are some options that you can look at. No, I don't think these are awesome season long, but you never know. These are guys you can take a shot on. And for the running back position, I'm going to go with Kenneth Gainwell from the Philadelphia Eagles. They are playing against Atlanta, and Kenny Gainwell is 9%-ish rostered. Now, Nick Sirianni has referred to his running back core in a very interesting way. He starts it off with Miles Sanders, then he says Kenny Gainwell, and then he stumbles over the name Boston Scott. So to me, that kind of says that Kenny is his RB2, and he is going to likely get a little bit more volume than Boston Scott. So if you really need a running back that you can plug in, I kind of like Kenny Gainwell. Again, less than 10% rostered in the Falcons. They give up 89 receptions to running backs in 2020 and 4 touchdowns. So it's not amazing, but a warm body, hopefully that can get you some points at the running back position. Again, guys, remember this is dumpster diving. And my second one here is Carlos Hyde with the Jacksonville Jaguars against Houston. Now, Carlos Hyde is around 17% rostered, but again, I like that it's under 20%. James Robinson is obviously the RB1, that is not in question, and Carlos Hyde is really firmly in that RB2 conversation with the Jaguars until we really know more about what's going on with Duke Johnson. But they're playing against Houston, as I said, who were ranked 31st. That's bad. 31st worst, second worst, whatever you want to call it. 31st. They were bad. In 2020 against the run, they allowed over 2,300 yards on 419 attempts and 21 touchdowns to the running back position. So James Robinson should be an auto start for you. And again, if you need a warm body in your running back position because of injury or whatever happens, Carlos Hyde is an option here against the Texans. So let's move on to our last position group here with the wide receivers. All right, I know that Michael Pittman is the hot name and he's the cool kid in town and everybody's talking about him, but there are other wide receivers on this team besides just Michael Pittman. That's right, you have, let's take Paris Campbell, for example. They are playing against the Seahawks, and the Seahawks were, I guess we should say, really bad against wide receivers. In fact, they were third worst to finish 2020. They allowed the most targets and receptions to wide receivers, and they were the third worst in yards. So I understand that Michael Pittman will likely be getting, likely be getting a lot of looks, a lot of targets, but that doesn't mean he's the only wide receiver on this team. Again, if you need somebody to plug into that wide receiver position, look no further. Try Paris Campbell, Zach Pascal. Keep an eye on their injury status and make sure they're good to go. But those are options for you. I believe they're under 7% rostered. And my next one is Rondale Moore, rookie wide receiver. I totally got that right. For the Arizona Cardinals instead of calling him a Wookiee wide receiver, which I should have just done anyway. And they are playing against the Tennessee Titans. He's about 25% rostered. Now, surprisingly, the Tennessee Titans are not very good against wide receivers. At least they weren't at the end of 2020. They ranked 31st against that particular position. And, so they were kind of mediocre defending, like yards and touchdowns, but they allowed the fourth most targets and receptions to wide receivers. So what does this mean for us? What can we take away from this? So we have DeAndre Hopkins. He's going to be getting the lion's share of pretty much everything. And then you have Kyler Murray himself, who is likely going to be running it in the end zone. And then you have James Conner. You also have Chase Edmonds. These are going to be your red zone threats. I promise I will get this right at one point in my life. Until then, you'll have to deal with me stumbling over some words here and there. Sue me. I don't really care. But in between the 20s, Rondale Moore has the opportunity to be a PPR monster. So I really like his opportunity. Again, 25% rostered. He's still under like that 30% mark here, which I do like. And he is one of these guys that I wouldn't mind hanging on to and stashing and seeing what he does rest of the season. And I believe he can be a viable option to start for you in week 1. Okay, so we have our dumpster dive, we have our streamers. Now to the meat and potatoes, which I am so just flabbergasted with the amount of questions that I received, that Pat Mayo received for this particular show. This is the Q&A section of this show, and I am super duper excited about this. Now remember everybody, if I do not get to your question, that is okay. I am also going to be live on Sunday, this coming Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come prepared with some questions, and I will help you answer those just very important start-sit questions. So if I don't get to them today, come back and ask me on Sunday. But for our very first question here from Dustin on Twitter, full PPR, pick 2. Mike Davis, Cortland Sutton, or Jarvis Landry? I've got to tell you, Dustin, I almost called you Justin. Dustin, this is a really good question because I could literally make an argument for any 2 of these. I'm not sure that there really is a right or wrong answer. So you will hear me say this a lot. I'm going to tell you to go with your gut. Now, one thing I will say is that I would make sure that Mike Davis is going to be at least one of them because he is going to provide you a very safe floor, which is what we want. Now that you have your safe floor between the 3 of them, we want to go ahead and see maybe you need a home run. If you want a little bit more safety, perhaps it's Jarvis Landry. But for me, my answer here is going to be running back Mike Davis and wide receiver Cortland Sutton for you. I don't exactly know what the Browns offense is going to look like with OBJ. And don't forget, the Browns offense is run first and run heavy. So I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like with the wide receivers. So I'm going to wait on Jarvis Landry, and I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton, and I'm going to go with Mike Davis. Joseph Wen from YouTube, Javonte Williams or Jamal Williams for a flex? Joseph, this is Jamal Williams all day long for me. Not even a question. I would start Jamal Williams. This may be a way tougher question several weeks down into the season, but for week 1, go Jamal Williams, especially with DeAndre Swift banged up and likely on a snap count. And then Milk is Spicy, a great name, also from YouTube. Start Darrell Henderson or DeAndre Swift in PPR. This is, again, a running theme here when I have a lot of questions about DeAndre Swift. Go Darrell Henderson. I think he is going to provide you a very safe floor. I am worried about DeAndre Swift, how long he'll be in the game, and how many snaps he is going to take. So go Darrell Henderson there, Milk is Spicy. And then TK from YouTube. Hello, my friend. Would I rather have on my bench rest of season the following: Michael Carter, Le'Veon Bell, or Wayne Gallman? Okay, I'm taking Le'Veon Bell out of this. He's still on the practice squad. He's probably going to fulfill the Mark Ingram role even if he makes the 53-man roster, so I want nothing to do with that. So the question here is going to be between Michael Carter and Wayne Gallman. Now, for me, I understand that it's a timeshare, and Michael Carter is part of a running back by committee, which we never really love, but at least I know that he has some opportunity to see touches, and he has the opportunity to get involved in the offense without much in the way of him doing so. Wayne Gallman likely has a big roadblock in the name of Mike Davis, and in order for him to see really, I think, an exorbitant amount of time on the field, Mike Davis is going to have to get hurt, which of course we never want on anybody. Now, if you have the room to stash Wayne Gallman, sure, why not? If you really believe in him, go ahead. But for me, I'm sticking with Michael Carter here, who has the opportunity to take a little bit more of a chunk if he can prove himself, but at least I know he's going to be on the field instead of wasting one of my bench spots simply as an insurance policy. All right, Dan MC and QE2 Sports from Twitter both had the same conundrum here, which is a very good conundrum to have. They have Allen Robinson, who is going up against the Rams, also known as just Jalen Ramsey. Or should they start Deebo Samuel, Chase Claypool, or Mike Williams instead? Okay, I like this. It's a problem, but I like it. And I know this is going to be very stinky. But the matchup is terrible for Allen Robinson, but start him anyway. He is your go-to. I wouldn't get cute with it. No matter who is at quarterback, Allen Robinson is going to get it done. Mike Williams and Chase Claypool are the home run hitters, but they are also very boom or bust. You have a lot more stability and a lot more consistency if you start Allen Robinson, and you also have a high ceiling with him as well, especially with Andy Dalton at the helm. Hopefully, if he can stay upright. That'll be a question. But yeah, I know it's stinky. The matchup sucks. Go ahead and go with Allen Robinson. I know even as I say that, I sigh. And Deebo, I know, was one of your options as well. I'm actually more looking at Brandon Ayuk between those two wide receivers. So again, I'm sticking with Allen Robinson here. Don't worry about that matchup, though. He's kind of one of those matchup-proof wide receivers. And Mr. Digglesworth is our final question, which this name is just fantastic. Mr. Digglesworth from Twitter. One wide receiver, full PPR. Why is this even a question? But I'm going to answer it anyway. Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, or Deontay Johnson. First of all, why do you have all three of those wide receivers? This is beyond me. No. Second of all, start Deontay Johnson And then when either Juju Smith-Schuster or Chase Claypool just blow up, trade them away. Get the highest value that you can for one of those guys and find either a wide receiver or a tight end or a running back that's on a different team and diversify your roster a little bit, unless you're talking DFS, in which case I would still go with Deontay Johnson there. But if you're looking for the home run hit, maybe Chase Claypool. But in regular redraft fantasy, especially in PPR, Deontay Johnson with no doubt diversify those wide receivers just a little bit for me, my friend. And that's all we have for our Q&A, everybody. Again, if I missed your question, fear not. You still have the opportunity to ask me on Sunday, this coming Sunday. That's right, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And go ahead and follow us at Mayo Media Network. And also don't forget, follow Prize Picks, prizepicks.com, promo code MMN. And don't forget about our 7-11 challenge. That's right, 5 over-unders that equal $7.11 is how they track it. More deets on that are in the description, or you can follow us at Mayo Media Net. And hint, spoiler alert, we may have something coming from Prize Picks in the next few days, so keep your ears and eyes peeled for this news. It has something to do with Patrick Mahomes and only a half a yard. So I'll just leave it at that. Make sure you tune in to our other shows here on Mayo Media Net for more information on that. I know I'm very sneaky. If you haven't done so already, please like this video and please subscribe if you have already. Thank you very much. And also thank you for tuning in to this episode. Good luck this weekend. Football is here, my friends, and we are ready to go for week 1. Good luck.